number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I am Patrick Cristiano, your host, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs covering all things theater. And we have a really special guest today, a television icon, a pioneer, author, a comedic writer, a man of many, many talents, Bill Boggs. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And I did get my toe in Broadway a little bit.
We're going to hit that too. I'm going to get around to you in Broadway. It's about a play.
I don't want to be seen as a fraud here. You know, I'm some of the wonderful people you've had. Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. It's good to see you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for coming to do it. We're really excited to have you as a guest. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew who you were a little bit too.
Oh, no. Good. Believe me, I never assume anything.
Let's start with your book and we'll get to your Broadway show later, okay?
Sure.
Because I have a note I want to talk about that specifically, but the moment is about the book. Hold it up for them because we don't have it. Show them your book.
Well, this just was released by Post Hill Press, a longtime publishing firm. The president actually lives in East Hampton. It's called The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, as told to Bill Boggs. At the top, we've got a quote from Winston Groom, you know, who wrote Forrest Gump. Highly original.
Let me read you I'll read the quote. Go ahead. You read it. Go ahead.
No, anyway, the book is a satire. It's about a dog, and it's narrated by a dog. So it's a dog story.
So let's go back up a second. Let's go back up and tell the guests how this conceptualized came to you. You know, you used to be a radio talk show host in North Carolina, is it? Was it North Carolina?
I had a television show was syndicated in the South out of High Point, North Carolina, called Southern Exposure with Bill Boggs. And on the show, my own dog, who was named Spike, was on the show frequently and became very popular. He was just a natural clown. He just do simple stuff like looking at guests and yawning or falling asleep. Sometimes just
dogs are the best. They're the best. I'm a dog person.
Happened to you, or just jumping off and leaving, and he became very popular. And we nicknamed him Spike the Wonder Dog, and so that was a big part of my life for a couple of years, and shortly before leaving High Point to come to New York from really my big break to come and do a Midday Live with Bill Boggs, the dog was killed.
It was in the early 70s, right? Early 70s?
Right in front of me. That was 1970.
Wait, I interrupted you. The dog died right in front of you?
It was hit by a drunk driver right in front of me, yeah, right.
You witnessed it happening.
Yeah. Pretty painful.
How do you get over something like that?
Well, time passes, you know. I mean, it's a dog.
But in the moment, how do you deal with something like that in the moment? What happens in the moment?
Well, in the moment, it was horrifying because the car was going about 30 miles an hour.
Did he stop?
Hit the dog. The truck, actually, pickup truck, just kept on going down this little country road where I live. And he rolled over a couple of times, and I ran over screaming. You know, blood's coming out of his mouth. I scooped him up and drove him to the vet. My friend Lillian called the vet. We got an emergency, and I took him in, and the vet came out about 10 minutes later and said, you know, he's dead. There's nothing we can do. So I took him home and buried him in the backyard. Had a shovel.
Bill, that is my worst nightmare. It's my worst nightmare. Whenever my dog gets out, I worry that I might see him getting hit by a car. It's my worst nightmare. I can't imagine having to go through that.
Well, you can't imagine it. So that was extremely traumatic. However, life goes on. I've had two first cousins killed by drunk drivers at different times. So the family, that happened when I was a little kid. So I had to put it in perspective. This was just my dog, not my aunt and uncle's children. Anyway, so years go by, right? And about 3.5 years ago, when I had the thought that I wanted to write this book, that I had an idea. I've written, this is my third book. First book was a novel. Second was a self-help book. I don't remember where I got the idea, but the thought was.
So it didn't originate way back when. This was something that is relatively new. So the dog didn't live for you as an idea to do this. It only recently came to you, like in the last few years, to do something with this.
Only what happened, Patrick, was I've always been a hard worker and I've always had a lot of projects. And when my last project, which I refer to as a talk show, a television show called My Generation, and it was produced by the AARP, and we kept getting nominated for Emmys, and we kept getting beaten by Martha Stewart, which is okay. We like her. So what happened? When new management came in, which happens, and they canceled the show, all of a sudden I don't have that job. I have other things I'm doing. I'm doing professional speaking. I have stage shows, which you may or may not know I do. It's 5
No, we'll talk about that. We have 28 minutes. We'll get to that. Well, I want to hear about your stage work.
So basically, I said to Jane, my beloved Jane, who we've met, I said, I'm going to.
Barry said to say hello to Lady Jane. I had to remind him that you guys weren't married yet, so we want to find out why.
Yeah, well, she's here. You can ask her.
Okay.
She's over there reading the paper now. She's reading Olivia de Havilland's
bio. Oh.
Anyway, the thought was, I'm going to write something, and somewhere from outer space, the idea came, gee, what if Spike hadn't gotten killed, right? And came to New York with
What if?
Today's World, not
the big what if. About 3 years ago, how long? I'm trying to pinpoint the fruition of the idea to the completion, how long it took and the process aspect of it.
I like to talk about process. I respect that question. I would say I had the idea, and I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to block out the time and do it. And in terms of the process, a friend of mine, I said, I don't know, I'm busy, because I was busy. I was doing shows and public speaking. She said, just sit down. Don't worry about blocking out time. Sit down and see what happens. And I did. And the first day, the voice of the dog who narrates the adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog came through me. And it was a comedic voice I had never spoken in. I had never been on stage talking in that voice. I never wrote in the voice. And that's a major thing for a fiction writer.
That's brilliant. You're off and running now. You're off and running.
That was it.
Yes.
I just kept going. I blocked out the time. I worked in the afternoons. And it took me about a year to write the manuscript. And then I had 8 people I know. I asked them as a favor. I said, I'll take you out to dinner, but I have a big favor. It's a lot to have somebody to read a book. It takes time.
I know.
I wanted to make sure it was as funny as I thought it was. I wanted to make
sure. And you really trusted these 8 people to hear their feedback? Huh? Yeah. You know them all really well, I take it.
I said, I don't want no blowing smoke here. I don't want BS. Tell me what you think.
Was it hard to get them, or did they jump at the opportunity?
Well, no, they were friends. They were friends whom
they were really willing and able then.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done the same for them.
Right.
So it took a couple of months, though. It wasn't like read the book and it took until it got done. And all 8 came back and in meetings with me said, it's laugh out loud funny.
Bravo.
That's what I heard. That's what the critics have said. The most recent thing we got was from a magazine that has Fran Drescher on the cover. It's called Pet Lifestyles. And they reviewed the book and they said, we'll have you falling on the floor laughing. So although I'm
one second.
A talk show host,
let me read some of the reviews, okay?
Right.
Because it's a great place to insert them, all right? Let's start with the Winston Groom, the author of Forrest Gump. Bill Boggs and his friend Spike the Wonder Dog unleash comic wizardry in his madcap, highly entertaining satirical novel. Spike is the newest canine literary hero to take on the world with hilarious results. And I love this one. Mark Elliott, New York Times bestselling author. Bill Boggs has hit a home run with his highly original and hilarious satire on everything. A terrific read I highly recommend. One more, Richard Johnson, New York Post. Mr. Lee, call your lawyer. There's a new spike in town, an acid-tripping terrier who savages the media landscape while avoiding death and castration. Bill Boggs takes us on a darkly comic journey through his twisted world. It takes a hero with 4 legs and 2 balls to survive.
Richard Johnson, we love that. That's it. The Adventures of Spike Wonderland, as told to Bill Boggs. And look, there's a politically
told too, I get it. Politically, with much politically incorrect humor, by the way, much. It's so hard not to have politically incorrect humor in this moment in time, is it not?
I know that. It's an interesting moment in time of when this moment in time has healed wounds, which I surely hope it does, and when the pandemic is gone, I hope we can get back to laughing at ourselves again. It's so important, really. It's everyone is, even when I was writing the book, everyone was so sensitive. Now it's even worse. But let's hope we can get back to really being upset by the serious things in life and not each other's foibles.
Well, let's hope your book can start to begin to get to open the doors, because there's lots of things going on with laughter. But I want to talk a little bit about the play you did, Talk Show Confidential. Is that what it was called?
And actually, it has 2 titles. The first title was Talk Show Confidential, and then I changed the title because I liked the second title better, to Confessions of a Talk Show Host. And that show was originally backed by the John Houseman Theater, Eric Krebs, down on 42nd Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did about...
So has it been, was it done? It was produced?
Yes, it was produced.
Production when? What year, approximately?
Oh, that was like
Make it up.
2002, a long time
2002,
ago.
about...
And then...
it's been optioned. It's been optioned. Is that true? This one's optioned for a film as well, or something else was optioned?
It was optioned together with my first novel, At First Sight, for a film inspired by these stories. So what happened was, after I was at the theater, the Houseman Theater, it was only like 6 performances, but I launched it. I looked around, where can I do this? And I ended up at the Triad. Peter Martin, who now works with Rick Newman. Peter Martin was wonderful. He loved the show. And so he pretty much gave me a carte blanche. So the show ran at the Triad Theater off and on. At first I did it once a week. That was too much. And then I did it once a month for about 6 years. And that...
Now, when you did it, did you perform in it yourself? Is that what you're saying?
Excuse me?
Did you perform in it yourself?
Oh yeah, it's a one-man show.
I didn't understand that it was a one-man show. I didn't know that aspect.
No, but it's a one-man show. It started out, I was on a cruise, and the first time I ever went on a cruise as a so-called celebrity guest, I needed a talk. So I come up with this talk, Confessions of a Talk Show Host, about true stories that have happened to me on television over the years. It's all crazy stuff and film and clips, right?
Right.
It went so well on the ship. I came back and I said, I have it within me to do more. And then I met Eric Krebs, and he said, well, let's see what we can do. So that, I still do that. I've done it here I'm in Palm Beach right now. I've done it at Guild Hall. And every once in a while I go back to the Triad. I did it a couple times.
So it's a traveling piece. Is it set or does it change?
It's pretty much a set show. Each time I do it, it feels different because it's coming out.
Because it's live.
It's gotten better and better. I mean, since 2001. My son saw it in 2001. He helped me with some of the organization. And then he saw it about the 2nd year into the Triad. And he said to me, as soon as you walked on stage, I knew the show had grown as soon as I entered, So it's great. It's really a pet and I have other shows that I do. Essentially now I'm doing them during the winter season in Florida, in Palm Beach, in Boca, at theaters and venues down here. I have one called Memories of Sinatra, about my interview with Frank Sinatra. I have another one called Voices of Our Time. one on my time on the Food Network. But my favorite show is, Confessions of a Talk Show Host, because it's
Now, how long a piece is it?
Excuse
How
me?
long a piece is it?
Well, that's a good question. When I did the original piece on the cruise ship was 35 minutes, and then for John Houseman, I put it together into about a 75-minute show, which I like. At the Triad, it was hit 80 sometimes, and the longer version down here is the universities want 90 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So you can come to me and say, I want a 40-minute version. Tell me the length, and I'll tailor it.
I know.
That's it. It's a lot of fun for me to do.
Now, I have a little show like that in my back pocket that I wrote and did at Guildhall called My Lessons from Dogs. And it charts my journey from selling $1 million homes to playing Truman Capote in True. Which it's the kind of changes like that is why I asked you a little bit about how that, and why I was really curious about the process to getting to the page. But let's go back to your process about starting it. So it took this about 3 years ago, the idea came.
Yeah, the idea for the book came, I always like to hold up the book. I've been doing it for so many years.
No, yes, and wait, and they can get it on Amazon.com. Is there another?
Anywhere books are sold, Amazon.com. You can just, if you just type orderspike.com, it takes you right to Amazon. But if you go to Amazon and type Bill Boggs book, it takes you, and it's available in the hardback and the Kindle. So, and
it's sure to give everybody a jolt of laughter, which is much needed at the moment, and we're going to put them on a journey to laughing more. Okay, that's the goal of the whole process. Laughter is a healing force in our world, and we want to use more of it in every way we can all the time. And you're going to manifest it.
100% agree. The night before the book went to press, which was maybe 2 nights before, and this was March, so I was aware of how bad things were. And if you understand mathematics, you knew they were going to get worse. I changed the back to this. At a time when we can all use a laugh, Bill Boggs presents the audacious adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, satire, social commentary, absurdist humor, and a touch of personal memoir, narrated by fiction's funniest canine. So I actually was able to acknowledge where we were and what you were just saying, Patrick, how important it is for us to be able to laugh now at what's not at what's going on, but just to laugh as a force in our lives. Look how much different your life is and my life is than it was 6 months ago, right?
Yeah. I worry for our country at this moment that we're at. And my life is small compared to what's going on in this country. But, I just want to throw this in here because since you and I share a lot of similar journeys a little bit that, I'm doing this talk show host and I know you, I remember you were like an inspiration to me when I saw your shows back in the 70s. I mean, I was younger, but and then I wrote a show that kind of charts my journey, was really interesting too. And I'm moving into writing more stuff too, so that you're writing more stuff. But I just want to, so I share your laughter journey. This is something that has been gravitating to, and I think I want to share this with everyone. It's called laughter yoga, and it talks about the healing aspects of yoga and how a good laugh is almost equivalent to a workout, a 10-minute good laugh, and how much laughter is a healing aspect, and it goes into all the scientific stuff of that. But let's get back to you.
That's well put. The book is called Laughter Yoga.
Laughter Yoga, check it out. I think you might find ways to have it inspire you in other avenues too, I think. Because one of the things I'm thinking, can you do an imitation of Spike?
I really can't imitate. I mean, I can read something, but I really can't imitate Spike. I can only write in Spike's voice.
But you hear his voice, though, right? You hear his voice distinctly.
It transmutes into the written word. Jane, do I talk like Spike at all?
Only the sarcasm.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get into sarcasm, and I'll be sarcastic. And Jane will say, "Oh, you're acting like Spike." But Patrick, from somebody, a fellow brother who is interested in the creative process here, it was astounding to me to have the ability instantly when I started to write of transmuting like this imagined crazy dog I had so many years ago onto the page, and the dog becoming a character. So
So
anyway,
this was a daily exciting process then, because of what you discovered from the get-go. When the voice came to you, then it made the whole process exciting and stimulating from
absolutely,
first,
it's
right?
also something I do. I'll tell you, Jane, would you do me a favor, please, and hand me my notebook? Here, it's something else as part of the process that I do. All the way back in high school, our high school principal at Lincoln High School in Philadelphia said, if you have an idea, write it down. Don't think I'll remember that. I have been carrying with me notebooks, 30 years, and I have them all. So I've gravitated to these. This is what's the brand, Jane, that I use? Anyway, this is a notebook. I always decorate them with stamps, and each one is a little different. Here I've got John Lennon, then the old Spike Railroad stamp, and the moon landing, and on the back the old Spike. But I constantly am putting ideas in the book.
Moleskin.
What?
Moleskin.
Yeah, Moleskin. It's a Moleskin book, right? And I'm constantly writing stuff in here. Like I wrote something here the other day. What would it be like if a family were raising children, and the children from cradle all the way through their teen years were raised with streaming reality shows. And so they didn't have a nanny. They only had because I have this thing, and it's partly in the book, about how many people are in what I call a performative aspect of their behavior, like as if they're on a reality show. For example,
I get it.
in the room on a reality show.
There are people like you described, actually, that have only lived up watching television on a reality show. That is a real possibility. That's imitating truth. Art.
Like the apex predator of reality.
Yes.
Somebody walks in a room in a reality show, it's not, oh, hi, it's I am working, because I'm going to write a second book. I am constantly taking notes every day. I always have this with me. And I lost one once, and it was horrible, because you cannot retrieve that kind of intellectual property, you know.
I understand I've been there. I tried making notes on a phone one time with all phone apps, and then I had like 100, and I lost them all. It's what's the sequel? Are you going to write a sequel to this one? Or are you going to do a continuation?
I'm going to continue the story, the creative. I know what I want to do. I'm going to continue the story almost right from where this book ends.
Right.
The problem is, creatively, the pandemic. How do I reference the pandemic? Because I can't really pick up the story. I don't know the answer to the question.
I get the dilemma. That's a
I don't know how to pick up the story and do what I wanted to do while the pandemic is on. I may be able to do it, as I'm saying it right now. It may not be as complicated as I think. But I love writing. It's interesting, Patrick, when you do one thing and you're known like as a television host, and then you have a book. This is my third book. Somehow people don't think like it's for real. But I've been writing since I was a child.
I get that all the time. I'm a realtor. People think I can't act or I can't write. I can't do anything but be a real estate agent. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I know what you're talking about. So you've been a talk show host, and they don't want to see you as more that they want to put you in a box, right?
Yeah. Listen, one thing you said there is really interesting, that you were in the Truman Capote show. I saw the original production with Robert Morse on Broadway.
Yes.
And for 6 years, 6 years, and I had a house in Sagaponack, and as you know, Truman Capote had a house.
Yes.
I didn't know where it was. I didn't know where his house
I've
was.
been in his house.
Right. So on that road, so one morning, Sunday morning, I'm doing my morning jog, and I see this guy on the lawn, sitting on the lawn. He's got a hat on, interesting looking character. And as I'm jogging, that's Truman. So I call over, "How you doing?" And he says, "Feeling just fine."
I'm sure he was.
I
I'm
love his
sure he
writing.
was.
I love
I read I read Breakfast at Tiffany's under the cherry tree in one sitting when I was 12.
Good for you.
So he's imbued in me a little bit.
Good.
So you really have like a little second enterprise of doing these shows that you talks about all kinds of things.
It's a wonderful hobby. I've got 6 or 8 of them booked. Craig Dyer has booked me for a couple. I've done some at FAU. I did one at the Black Box Theater down here. I've done some at the communities. You know, the great part is doing the show. The most difficult part, Patrick, is getting the gig, getting the booking for the show.
Right.
But I love, as long as I got the force in me, I will continue to do these shows. It's each time, you know, it's a one-man 90-minute show requires a certain force, you know, even though it's interrupted with video clips. And so I always look at it as in a way, a bit of an athletic challenge too.
It is.
Project the energy I need to project the whole time I'm on stage, you know.
And your body's your instrument. You got to keep it in shape to do what you have to do to be on stage. It's just, you know, all part of the process. So hold up your book one more time. Show everybody before we go off the air. We're guessing how much time we have left.
All right. Anyway, the book is The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. It's told to Bill Boggs. That happens to be me. Patrick, I've loved this interview. This was really good.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Wait, I didn't get my question. How come you and Lady Jane are married?
Why aren't we married, Jane?
You have to answer that.
I haven't asked.
You haven't asked? Is that true?
I guess. I mean, we've been together 10 years. Well, I'm afraid if I ask, she'll say no. And then, you know.
I don't believe you. Why haven't you asked?
You know, that's a long story. I think.
Okay.
I'm the best wife.
What?
I'm the best wife.
Oh, well, the simplest thing to say is I've been married 3 times over a long life.
Oh, that's it.
A long life. Over a long life. And Jane and I have been together 10 years. We have a home in Palm Beach. We have a home in East Hampton, a little apartment in New York. We have a fabulous lifestyle. And so I simply say, Jane is not my wife, but she surely is the best wife I've ever had.
Bravo.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much.
Show the book one more time. The Wonder Dog. And I love As Told.
The dog dictated
Told
the story
too.
to me. I didn't write it, actually. That's what happened. Patrick, you're terrific. I look forward to seeing you up close and personal in the year ahead. And look, you've got a little friend there yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's Tallulah. Here she goes.
Bye.
Stay safe and sound.